Okay, so in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about the interface. Now I have this little creature that I created. I actually made this in Cinema 4D. I do have some Cinema 4D courses available as well, so you might want to check those out. But what we want to do is we want to take a look at a little bit about the interface and moving around this image. So you can see that we have our menu up at the top of our screen, and we have our tools on the left-hand side, and we have some more tools over here on the right-hand side and our layer palette. Now, the first thing I want to show you, and it's something that is very useful, especially when you're first starting and working out in Adobe Photoshop. What you're going to be doing is a lot of times, a lot of this information becomes a little overwhelming, and sometimes you just don't want to see it. You just want to focus on the work that you're using. So what we can do is we can go to our view and we can go into screen mode. We have our standard screen mode, full screen mode with menu bar, and then full screen mode. So if I go to, right now we're in standard screen mode, which is just, we have all the available information, all the available tools and palettes available to us. So if I go to screen mode and then go to full screen mode with menu bar, you can see that this kind of shuts things down a little bit easier, so it's a little bit more compact, and you can have a little bit more real estate in which to work with within your screen. Now we can go this even further if we go to view, screen mode, and then we can go to full screen mode. And now we have this in a full, with no palettes, no menus or anything. The only thing we do have here is our ruler, and we can even turn that off using Command R, and that takes away our ruler. So now you can see that now we just have our image within our screen. And this is important because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working with guides, you're going to be working with all kinds of tools, you're going to have different palettes open, and a lot of times it just becomes very cluttered. So it's a good idea, so when you're working and you're working on an object, to go into full screen mode, and this just gives you just the look of your design or whatever you're working on. And I kind of look at it as similar to when you're drawing and you want to take a step back away from the easel and just look at your work far away and being able to see the whole picture. Because, a lot of times you're working on very detailed, you're zoomed in, and you're kind of just working on like a part here, and you're not seeing the whole thing as a whole. So it's just something to keep in mind when working within Photoshop. So speaking of zoom, we can have a few different options with our zoom. You can see right now that our percentage down here is about 82%. Now we can go to our magnifying glass, and we can kind of zoom in to our object just by clicking. And you can see as I click, this percentage down here at the bottom changes 200. And if we hold down our Option key on our keyboard, you can see now that our magnifying glass goes from a plus sign to a minus sign, and we can then zoom out. And we also have a few other options. We can also go to our Command minus on our keyboard, and that will zoom out, and then Command plus on our keyboard, and that zooms in incrementally. And you can notice that within our little percentage thing here down at the bottom. Now, there's also a keyboard shortcut. A lot of times you'll just be working, you'll be zooming in, but you want to quickly move to your 100% magnification. So you can go to Command 1, and that will go to 100%. And you also have Command 0, which allows it to fit within your screen. So in this case, this is a pretty large image. So when I go to Command 0, it goes to, about roughly 80%. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, great. So next, what we want to do is we want to start looking around how to move an image within this, within our interface. So a lot of times you'll be needing to move something around. Say for an example, you have this zoomed in pretty good, and you're working on an area, say a shoulder, and you're doing some color correction, or you're adding in some effects or something like that. You want to then move over to his other shoulder and do the same thing. You can use this hand tool, and that's H on your keyboard. Oh, by the way, if you hover over any of the tools, you can see the name of the tool, but next to it you can see that has H next to hand tool. And that gives you an idea of what keyboard key will be used to go to that tool. So if say I'm on the move tool, which is V, and then I can just press H, now I'm on the hand tool. So what you can then do is move this image within your interface, within Photoshop. But you can also say an even easier way, say if you're selecting or if you're working on another tool, instead of toggling between these tools using the keyboard command, an even faster way is just holding down the space bar, and then you can just move around and then do whatever you need to do with the tool that you're using that you currently have. So you don't have to change a tool, and you can see that by your cursor changing. Just when you press the space bar, it goes to the hand tool, and then you can move your image around. And also you do have these sliders down here on the side and on the bottom to move around as well. I rarely use these. I usually use the hand tool, or if I want to just click on the hand tool and then be able to just move it around freely. Okay, so Command 1, we'll get back to 100%. I'll go to fit to screen, so Command 0. So now we have our image set up. So in the next lesson, what we want to do is we want to start looking at some of the tools and what a lot of these interfaces mean. We're just going to go over just kind of an overview of everything. And this lesson will be more of a quick start. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at each individual tools, and we'll just know which one they are, and we'll get to those in more depth as the course moves on.